Leroy has evolved quite a bit since his introduction back in Tekken 7. Although he was introduced back in Tekken 7 Season 3, Leroy already feels like he's been part of the main franchise since like Tekken 3. He has settled in quite well since his controversial run back in Tekken 7. So Tekken 8 is now about 17 months old, and I thought to myself, let's take a look at Tekken 8 Leroy and just how much he's evolved to Tekken 7 Leroy, and which version of the two Leroys was or is the better version in the current state of the game. Now, it's unfair to compare Tekken 8 characters to Tekken 7 characters because Tekken 8 is just an overtuned game in general. So for this fact, I'll try to disregard heat as much as possible and just take a look at the character's tools, the general tools of the character, and what made them shine and stand out in each of their particular games. So let's get it, Nemi gang. Okay, so let's first talk about Leroy's classic parry, the back two, his most iconic move without a doubt. This is what my boy is known for. So back two in Tekken 7 basically worked almost the same as Tekken 8, so it did 30 damage. I think it was about +7 on hit. I apologize, I don't have frame data in Tekken 7 because I don't do scams. Okay, so it was good, did 30 damage. It did not war splat, unlike the parry in Tekken 8, the back 2 version. It also had the just frame version, however it did not give you anything else. Leroy's parry could also parry rage arts and rage drives in Tekken 7. So think of rage drives as the hit smash equivalent of Tekken 8, right? So this could parry rage drives and rage arts, which was insane. It was mad how strong this parry was. And the best thing about Leroy's parries in Tekken 7 was the fact that you could also break throws if you are grabbed whilst you're doing your parry. This does not work in Tekken 8. Grabs are the ultimate counter to parries in Tekken 8, so you're getting cooked, right? Tekken 8 had the just frame parry version though. This did a shitload of damage. Like, the damage you get from this is absolutely fucking insane. So this was like to kind of make up for the fact that you can't break throws when you're grabbed while sparring. And honestly, it is nice, right? It is nice when you get that chunky perfect parry and you get that huge ass damage, but it does not happen as often as you want it to be. So in terms of trade-offs, honestly, I would take being able to break a throw whilst doing a parry than the damage you get from the perfect parry. His Tekken 8 parry is also like +20, bro. Like it's like plus forever, classic Tekken 8. And it can also war splat. You get some really insane damage from the war splat version. If you get a perfect parry plus war splat, that is just like super massive damage. So these are the biggest differences between Leroy's back to parry in Tekken 7 and Tekken 8. So which version of the parry is better? If we look at the risk and reward, honestly, again, I think the grab has more value than getting a perfect parry with more damage or getting a war splat from the parry. So in my opinion, I'm taking Tekken 7 parry all day, every day. Give me the ultimate defense, bro. Let me parry those fucking hit smashes. Let me parry rage arts in Tekken 8 again. T7 parry all day, every day. Next, let's take a look at Leroy's down forward 1, because this was a huge change going into Tekken 8. Massive change to Leroy's overall neutral game. So in Tekken 7, Leroy's down forward 1 was -3 on block, and the extension was -1 on block. The extension was a high, of course. This was completely changed in Tekken 8. Down forward 1 was given completely new animations, with the first part of down forward 1 now -6 on block, and the second version still being a high is -2 on block. Now in Tekken 8, they made it so that his down forward 1+2 synergizes with his hit mechanic that revolves around chip damage when using his rapid strikes. So they kind of made it revolve around his archetype of like fast Wing Chun punches and chip damage and stuff. But like when it comes to overall neutral game of Leroy, this was a massive nerf. It was a massive nerf, and till this day I do not care about chip damage, and chip has even been nerfed in season 2, so it's not as strong as it used to be before, especially on Leroy. So Leroy's Tekken 7 down forward 1 version still remains supreme. It is the better version. Next up, let's talk about Leroy's down back 4, because this was another massive nerf going into Tekken 8. So yes, the Tekken 7 was a better version of this law. So down back 4 in Tekken 7 was -14 on block and -3 on hit. It also guaranteed a full crouch down forward for 1, up forward 1+2, up forward 3+4, 1+2 follow up afterwards, which gave about 44 damage. This was a massive law for Leroy, because Leroy is a very risky character in Tekken 8, especially when it comes to his neutral laws. So this was a very good go-to law you could use parsley in Tekken 7, because -14 is not too bad. Tekken 8 version, boom, launch punishable on block, and you get about 30 damage follow up from the counter hit version. So yeah, Tekken 7 clears Tekken 8's down back 4. Very important, especially for his neutral game. This was a huge nerf, and this is a change I would want to see reverted. We need Leroy's old down forward 4 back in Tekken 8. Let's talk about his Hellsweep as well. So in Tekken 7, Leroy just had it. Like, he just had it. He would walk up to you and Hellsweep you, like just like that. It had massive range, and this thing tracked both sides, bro. This shit tracked both sides. You could not step this Hellsweep. So Leroy was basically a walking 50-50 mix-up. He could dash up and Hellsweep or dash up Obito. Like, this is what made this character like super strong in Tekken 7. That's why he stayed top tier, bro. The fact that he had this. So this was a huge nerf going into Tekken 8 as well. Or rather a good change, because this was too strong, to be honest. So going into Tekken 8, Leroy can only access this Hellsweep when he is in Hermit Stance. So this was a big change to our boy. But again, overall, we're comparing strengths here, character strengths. So in terms of strength, the Hellsweep version, the Tekken 7 version of the Hellsweep was overall the better version. Let's now talk about tracking. So Tekken 7, Leroy had very good tracking. I just mentioned his Hellsweep. That shit was basically homing. His back 4 in this game felt way better than it does in Tekken 8. Now it still does, it's still basically the same, right? Does not do anything on counter hit, no special animations, but it just felt good to use. It felt chunky, it had chunky hits. That was completely removed in T8, bro. Like, back 4 in T8 feels like absolute dog shit, bro. Like, it's so ass. So the T7 version was pretty strong. His forward 2 also had homing properties. That was removed in Tekken 8 because Leroy is very easy to step at close range. That's why his biggest weakness is stepping against him at close range. So this again was a huge nerf going into Tekken 8. Of course, his forward 2 still works the same, apart from the fact that it's not a homing move anymore. At least the first part of the string is not homing anymore. Now, although he did get back 3 in Tekken 8, amazing homing move, plus 16 on hit, guaranteed Hermit 1+2 or Hermit 4 1+2, like super amazing move. Now, as strong or busted as this move may look, it's actually very reactable. Like, it's kind of slow. At the highest of levels, you won't see that many Leroys using this move. And like I said, at max range or at close range is where Leroy's weakness is in terms of stepping him. So you won't really use back 3 all that much at close range because it's very susceptible to sidestep block or like sidestep twitch dack, right? So it's good, but just not as effective as Leroy's forward 2 back in Tekken 7. So in terms of homing, Leroy Tekken 7 still clears Tekken 8 Leroy. As strong as you might think back 3 is, it doesn't compare to forward 2 from a neutral point. In terms of risk and reward, honestly, back 3 is just a bit too slow for how strong it is. I would rather it be faster and they nerf the reward, because stuff like back 3 into Pimpkane is absolutely fucking insane. So I would rather take speed over the reward that it gives. But overall, I still think Tekken 7 Leroy clears in terms of homing moves. Okay, so now let's talk Leroy's Hermit Stance. So Tekken 7 Hermit Stance just felt like bare bones compared to what Leroy's Hermit Stance is now in Tekken 8. So let's talk about his Hermit 1+2 for example. So in Tekken 8 he has this 14 frame hit confirmable mid that can take him into hit. In Tekken 7, he had this string that was a wall bounce. It was a mid and it was unsafe on block at -11. So Leroy did not have a good safe mid check whilst in Hermit Stance. That all changed in Tekken 8 when they gave him Hermit 1+2. So this was a massive change going into Tekken 8. But even just the overall functionality of Hermit Stance in Tekken 7 is just nowhere near as good as the Tekken 8 version. The SS, the sidestep cancel, was now given sidestep 1+2 that gives him the rapid strike punches. His new sidestep 3+4 given to him in season 2 Tekken 8 is just way better, so he can do way more stuff out of Hermit, like after sidestepping from Hermit, as well as being in Hermit. So for example, you can now obito from Hermit Stance, you can grab from Hermit Stance up forward 2. You couldn't do this back in T7. The one thing that Tekken 7 Hermit Stance had over T8 Hermit Stance was Hermit forward 1 being a counter hit launcher. Man, do I miss this. This was so freaking strong. It was an instant screw in Tekken 8, in Tekken 7 on counter, but that was taken away in Tekken 8. But in terms of overall functionality, strength of the stance, Tekken 8 clears Tekken 7 Hermit Stance. It's not even close. I also wanted to talk about Leroy's overall neutral game. Like if you compare his neutral game in Tekken 7 to Tekken 8, this man had so much control back in Tekken 7. So he had basically a demon pole in forward 1+2 that was nerfed. It's now a power crash in Tekken 8, so he could control the mid-range 1.5, range 2 with 1+2. His down forward was good. It was -3 on block. His Hellsweep was basically a homing move. He had forward 2, which was homing move as well. Down back 4 was -14. So he had good ways to get in, good ways to approach, as well as having perfect offense and honestly perfect defense. Let's be honest, back 1+2, back 1, 1+2, 1 till 10 frame counter hit confirm. So he was the perfect character when it came to neutral back in Tekken 7, and this is why this character still stayed S tier in season 4 even after the nerfs. Now, lastly, there are things in Tekken 8 that are way better than Tekken 7 Leroy, apart from the stuff I've mentioned. So he has stuff like the low pimp cane. This was given to him in Tekken 8, because let's be honest, low pimp cane in Tekken 7 could have been insane, bro. Imagine T7 Leroy with a low pimp cane. Oh my days, bro. So yeah, this move is absolutely freaking busted as well. Although it's once per match, I still think it's super strong, super clutch. So this is unique to Leroy in T8, and it clutches out some matches when opponents least expect it, right? It can steal a lot of stuff for you. The fact that you can actually link back 3 into the mid pimp cane, some S2 bullshit probably needs nerfs. So this is something that's strong about Leroy in Tekken 8 compared to his Tekken 7 counterpart. And one thing I also love about T8 Leroy is how much you've brought out his identity with the rapid strike punches, right? The whole idea of him dealing chip damage with rapid strike is what I really love about the character. I think this is the most fun thing about this character in my opinion. SS 1+2, Hermit 1+2, 1+2, you know, forward 3 1+2. Just rapid strike punches feel good, especially in heat. Now I don't think this also applies to like how strong he is compared to T7 Leroy. I think it's just more so about bringing out more of his identity, right? The character expression. The rapid strike punches fit his archetype really good. I spoke about his Hermit Stance upgrade as well, very strong in this version, definitely way better than anything this man's had in Tekken 7. So Hermit Stance, massive W in Tekken 8. I also didn't talk about down back 3 being a replacement of the Hellsweep in Tekken 7. They took away the Hellsweep, put it in Hermit Stance, then they gave him a new law with down back 3 in Tekken 8. Now down back 3 is a very weird law. Some say it's good, some say it's ass. The thing about down back 3 is on block it gives you a mix-up. The opponent doesn't get a guaranteed punish. You can parry after down back 3 on block, which is stupid. So it has a very weird balance between risk and reward, you know, so it's very difficult to say that this law is good or this law is bad, right? It's just very weird, okay? But as a replacement for the Hellsweep, it's still not as good as what Leroy had before. So his upgrades are good. He's especially strong when heat is involved with back 1+2, but like overall he's still a pretty strong character, especially currently in season 2. So now, what is the verdict? Which version of Leroy is the better version? Well, like I said, I think Tekken 8 Leroy is better due to the massive scaling of everything in Tekken 8. I think everything has been increased tenfold in context to the rest of the character roster, right? Like sidestep 4, for example, giving you 1+2 instead of just 2-2. The low Pimken, mid Pimken, you bring in hit in the equation as well. In that context, Tekken 8 Leroy is better. But if we take that away, take away hit, right? Just judge the two characters on their own. Tekken 7 Leroy was a beast. It's not even close. He was basically a perfect character, right? Down back 4, tracking Hellsweep, forward to homing, you know, perfect counter 8 tools. He was just the perfect character. So I know it's very unfair, it's a very weird comparison, but just for the fun of it, I thought this is something I would do. But what do you guys think? Which version of Leroy do you think is the better version? Which Leroy do you think is better without hit? Let me hear your thoughts, Leroy mains. The floor is yours. Talk to ya boy. Anyway, Enemy Gang, thank you so much for taking the time to watch my video. If you've made this far, please don't forget to doria that like button. Absolutely fist the shit out of that like button, pop up pause, and if you're new, don't forget to subscribe as well. So GG Enemy Gang, may the frame data be ever in your favor. GG.